are with Camp. So you saw us working on the patient sit, doing some live training where he's just on the leash, helping out with real life with the kids, with getting him used to being calm, cool, and collected no matter the environment. We're just waiting to cross the street here. It's busy right now. This is where that patient sit comes in handy, right? We're actually able to sit here. Oh, now we're not, so we're lift up the weight of an apple. Just chilling. This way. All right, again, number one thing you do before you go on the walk, when you go on the walk, is make sure your hand placement is correct and your leash placement is correct. My hand and my leash are correct. So now I'm going to use the 5 tools. I want no pressure on this leash. So you saw me do a rollback. I'm going to do another rollback. Our 5 tools are the flicks. You see me flicking right now. Flick. Zigzags. Direction change. And the roll back. I jog back, then I walk forward. Those are my 5 tools. I want no pressure on this leash. Like that. That's beautiful. Nice loose leash. Starting to get the pressure. So I'm going to do some zigzags. Just going to change direction, walk all over the place. There. Nice loose leash again. That's beautiful. Oh, I'm going to do a roll back. Walk forward. So I'm just using any of those 5 tools so that I can have there to be no pressure on this leash. Again, I'll never be able to progress or work through harder things if Camp can't even walk on a loose leash beside me without that many distractions. I mean, yes, I have the cars and some people, but I haven't had any barking dogs running up and bark at me. I haven't had any horses walking down the street. I haven't walked past the llamas yet. So there's still lots more distractions to add in, and I need him to be able to walk with me there. That's good. Walk with me on a loose leash before I start to add in those distractions. All right, here we are with Camp. He's doing really well. He is struggling with his patience. So today we're just out in the toy room in the warehouse, and I'm working with him on just chilling while we're next to the chickens, while we're with the other dogs, while we're out here in the toy room, learning how to just chill. It's the same concept as the bed, learning how to not be reactive and just take it in, but it's more of there's contact pressure here, right, on the bed. Eventually we want there to be no leash, and it's all distance pressure and all on him. So we're working with Camp on just being calm, cool, and collected. We're about to go out this door here, and so we've been practicing this patient sit for about 5 minutes, so we're going to move on. So door etiquette is important. Before we go out a door, Camp needs to put his bum down. And then I'm going to go out the door first, and then I will let Camp go out the door after me. So, I'm just holding on to the end of the leash, and I'm going to open the door where Camp's going to stand up. Oh, he already stood up before I even made it anywhere. So I'm lifting up the weight of an apple till he puts his bum down. Touch it. Oh, now I'm going to make him back up to where he was and put his bum down. As soon as his bum goes down, I'll release the leash. Yeah, that's a nice up. And so he stood up and started walking. So we're going to go back, and we're going to I'm lifting up the weight of an apple, and I'm just waiting for Cam. I'm going to shut the door because he's standing up again and not putting his thumb down. There, thumb went down. Release the pressure. Open the door. Oh, he went out again, so I'm going to grab him, bring him back in, lift up the weight of an apple, shut the door, and then as soon as his bum goes down, I'll release the pressure again. Pressure's released. So you can just see how this is, oh, he stood up, lift up the weight of an apple again, We're just going to sit here and practice this over and over and over again until I'm able to get out the door and Camp can sit patiently. That was much nicer. So he stood up still. He didn't dart out the door that time, so I went ahead and left the door open. I'm going to go out the door first. Once I'm out the door, I'm going to give a little tug on the leash. That means he is free to go outside. Once outside, I'm going to lift up the weight of an apple and have him put his bum down again. So he sits before we go out, and he sits once we get out. And I'm just going to wait here for him. It's important to be patient with your fur kid. Sometimes their brain moves quickly, and sometimes their brain moves a little slow. And it's okay. We need them to know that we'll be patient for them, and we're just going to wait for them. There he sat. Oh, and he's back up, so I'll lift up again. He sat, so I release the pressure again. And now we're going to move on. So if you remember from the last video, we made it out the door. We're still just chilling here. We're helping Camp just learn patience. We have some chickens over here that he really likes. He can smell the dogs over here that he really likes. Oh, he stood up again. So I'm lifting up that weight of an apple. So I'm just going to stand here. We're going to do lots of this for Camp today. This is what he really needs, is learning how to control his impulses and just chill here. We don't need to go anywhere. We don't need to do anything. I don't need any toys to keep him occupied. We're just going to chill and just practice patience. Alright, so we like everything awesome to be associated with the beds. So that means we're going to feed them on their beds. So here we are with Sully. We just put his food down on his bed, wanting to eat nice and calm. Same thing with Camp, and we're going to let them eat there. We're going to let them digest there. You can see they're both wearing the leashes around their neck. In case they get off, I can help them back to their bed, but they're not wearing it around their noses. He was just wanting to carry the bone off somewhere, but I just let him know, like, you can't carry the bone off and hide it. You got to eat it on your bed. If they did stand while they were eating, that is okay. But as soon as they're done eating, their bum has to go back down. So if someone needs to stand to eat, that is totally fine. They can stand up on their beds and eat their food on their bed, but as soon as they're done eating, you'll apply that pressure, have them put their bum down and take their bowl away. So they can't just stand there all the time. They'll stand, they'll eat, they'll move on. A lot of times, if we're spending extended period of times on these beds, a couple hours or anything like that, we actually bring in a raised water bowl also, so then they're able to drink on their beds too. So then they'll have food and water right there on their beds. If it's just short amount of times, less than an hour, they've had food and water, or they've had water in their rooms, I don't necessarily bring the water bucket out here because I have to move it back and forth each time. But having water where they can drink it, if it's their spot where they're going to stay all the time, would be a great idea. So then we're just meeting all of those happy needs in that spot, so that it becomes this place of just happiness and joy. Alright, so we have the kids on their beds. We have the staff coming in and out to collect dogs to take to the kennel. So we're just going to watch the kids with making sure they stay on their bed, even though the dogs are coming in and out. I'm going to turn on our Alexa from YouTube. It's called Noises That Drive Dogs Crazy. I'm going to turn it on full volume, and I'm just going to let it play. And we're going to go about our normal day. We're going to act like it's all normal. I'm going to knock on the doors and pretend like I'm answering them. I'm going to just do all sorts of distractions and kind of up the distractions to help them learn how to stay on their bed calm, cool, and collected no matter what is going on. Echo. Alright, so here goes the sounds on the Alexa, and you can hear the dogs from the video barking, you'll hear some whistling, you'll hear some bells and cows mooing. I'm going to start knocking on the doors. Bree has a couple more dogs to bring in and out, so you'll be able to see her walk through the house with dogs. And we're just working on being calm, cool, and collected on our beds in that position with our bum down, either in a sit or a lay.
So you can see there, Sully stands up. So Jennifer applies that distance pressure with her body language by standing in front of his face. And then as soon as Sully puts his bun down, she's going to go back to the distraction. So there's Sully got off his bed. Okay, she's going to grab the leash and or kind of herd him back onto the bed, get him to put that bun back down, and then walk away again. Okay, so we're giving kind of more of a high energy pressure when he's off the bed, and he's going to be calm, cool, and relaxed when he's on the bed. Okay, she's going to correct again and go back to what she was doing. So this is why it's so important to practice this when you have time to practice it. And when you can really focus on the dogs. Okay, Sully's being triggered the most when the door opens. So people knock, and when the door opens, okay, that's when Sully's getting off the bed. He's watching for that door to open. Okay, so this is why it's so important to practice while we have time to practice and when it works in our schedule. That way, when you actually have to open the door or someone actually comes over or some of this high energy comes around, the dogs are ready to handle that, or we know if they can or cannot handle it, and whether or not they need to be out practicing or back in their room or their crate or wherever that is for them, just having some of their relaxed time elsewhere.
Alright, boys, hurry up and finish. It's time to go get your backpacks on. Let's go.
So we got a little crazy this morning. Okay, doesn't matter what the chaos is. Okay, you can slide in if we go over there and love on him. If he's doing a great job, we're gonna love on him. If he gets off the bed, we're gonna do a correction like you also saw. So we're just gonna continue to practice the chaos of life and having Camp learn to stay calm, cool, and collected there on his bed.
All I want you out there was the dog, not your dance skills. Yeah, we have school today. Alright, so Camp is doing an awesome job. You saw him get off the bed once, where I used a little bit of distance pressure, and he sat down. Ollie, please move. But then I needed to use the leash to kind of help him all the way to the bed, because he just kind of sat in front of the bed. So I just used the leash, gave him that distance pressure again, and then put him back on the bed. So we have the kids running and screaming. We are doing breakfast. You can see Scott is still cooking. They're eating again. Just practicing chaos before you really need it. So that way, when the chaos time comes, the dog knows how to act. If I wait until it's a Christmas party to practice my skills of having people over and having the dog be involved but not get off the bed and not be reactive, the dog's probably going to fail. But if I can practice by having everyone scream and yell and people and chaos, and in a little bit we'll play on the Alexa noises that drive dog crazy. If I can practice those things before it actually happens, it will make this much more successful for Camp, and then he's able to be in the middle of anything and remain calm, cool, and collected.
All right, as we come in from our walk and we get into the house, you can see Jennifer led Camp over to his bed, and then she just walked him over there. She gave that gentle lift of the leash, and then he sat down. Okay, and then she's going to love on him. She took that nose band off because we don't want him to learn how to take it off while he's on the bed. Okay, this is where we're going to love on him. You can see her love on him, rub him all over. This is a great time to give him a check over, to touch him on the paws, make sure there's no rocks or thistles or anything in there. Okay, it's a good time just to get him familiar with you touching those paws and get him used to you touching, okay, all over his body, checking his teeth, playing with his ears, playing with his tail, playing with his toes. Okay, this is a great time just to love on him. This is our time to make him loved on, feel appreciated, and just really give him all that attention that he can handle, so that he really grows to love and enjoy being on the bed, because that's where he's going to get all that love and praise and attention. You can see our kids are finishing up their breakfast. Okay, we're just going to have him in here. He's going to practice being on that bed while we continue to go throughout our day.
make sure we have our hand in the right position. So it's tucked right behind my back. My arm is straight down. And I make sure my leash is at the right length. I want it loose, but short enough that it's only loose when he's at a nice heel beside me. So this morning, Camp has had his free play, and now we're on to training walk. This is the same 4 steps you'll do when Camp goes home. Free play, training walk, bed, reflect. Free play, training walk, bed, reflect. Free play, training walk, bed, reflect. You'll just do it over and over again. So right now we're on training walk. So my hand is in the right position. My arm is in the right position. My length is the right length. And now I have so far you've learned 4 tools. You've seen me flicking a few times. I'm going to start to do some zigzags. Get him thinking a little more. I combine the flicks with the zigzags so that this leash stays loose. I'm going to do a direction change. I'm going to change again. I get asked a lot, what about when they need to use the bathroom? That's a great question. So, to go to the restroom, it's always up to me, up to the walker. Camp can't pull me or demand that we go or jerk me off to the side, but when I see a place that I think he'd like to go, I'm going to lengthen out that leash. I'm going to tell him, go potty. And I'm just going to follow him for a second. To sniff the area. I know he already used the bathroom because we went at the house, so he's just marking. That was a total mark, but I told him he could, so it's fine. When I'm ready to go, I'm going to put him back on that loose leash. My arm goes back to the right spot, my leash goes back to the right spot, and then we'll start walking. We're using those 4 tools. There's 5 in total, but you've learned 4, right? I'm doing zigzags. I'm doing direction changes, I'm doing the flicks, and I'm always doing the reset. Not just when he's pulling, but just to practice. It's a busy morning this morning, lots of cars are out, and so this is a great time to practice just sitting here patiently. So we're just going to sit here for a little while. Oh, he stood up, lift up the weight of an apple again, he sat down, and we're just going to chill. Alright, so we've been sitting here for a little while. We're going to start heading back. I'm going to go ahead and give you the 5th tool. The 5th tool is a rollback. So whenever Camp creates pressure, I'm going to step back 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, really quickly, and then I'm just going to walk forward. So Camp has to turn around, come back, and then turn around again. I'm just making it harder, more work for Camp. You can see I'm zigzagging, flicking. You now have all 5 tools for helping Camp learn to walk on a nice loose leash. You can see the time that he's able to walk on a loose leash is getting longer and longer. That's awesome. That's what we want. I want him to be able to go longer and longer with there being no pressure on this leash. And I'm just kind of holding on my fingertips. so I can feel when there's the slightest bit of pressure. And he's doing a much better job. Look at that. There you go. That's like his longest time yet. Yeah, that was good. So right now what we're doing is we're introducing Camp obviously to the transitional leash, teaching him how to walk on a loose leash. But our goal isn't to always have to have the transitional leash on the nose and him stay beside us like this. The goal is, with months of training down the road, first, so currently I'm correcting Camp. Pretty soon he'll start correcting himself every time he hits that pressure. Then after that I can take and then after that he'll learn how to just walk at a nice heel and not bump the leash at all. That's when I know I'm ready to take the nose piece off the nose. Once I take the nose piece off the nose, I start back over with me correcting and him listening. Then he'll start auto-correcting. And then he'll start not needing it at all. And then I'm ready to do some like off-leash simulation. So this is like the base for anything you could ever want the dog to be able to do. So I'm just wanting to put his bum down. We're back at the house, and so people are checking in at the kennel right over there. And he knows what that means, and he really wants to go play. So we're just going to chill here and sit and watch friends come and go and practice this calm, cool, collective behavior.